Hey deep divers, are you ready for another deep dive? Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future deep dives.
Oh, definitely.
Today, we're going to be diving into something that you probably encounter every day, many times a day even.
Oh.
Water.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're probably thinking water, that's pretty basic, but trust me, this is going to be anything B-U-T basic. Get ready to have your mind blown wide open because we're going to uncover the hidden secrets of H2O. We're going to be talking about properties of water that are so strange and unexpected. You will never look at a glass of water the same way again. I was going through the research for this episode, and I literally had to put it down a few times just to wrap my head around it all.
It's true. Water is one of those things we just take for granted. I mean, it's everywhere, right? It seems simple, yet it's absolutely essential for all life as we know it.
Right.
But the more we dig into the science of water, the more we realize that water is far more complex and mysterious than we ever imagined.
Today, we're exploring water's hidden depths, its symphony of frequencies, its quantum quirks,
Okay.
and even its potential role in the very fabric of life itself.
Yeah.
Joining me to navigate these uncharted waters is, well, an expert on water.
Happy to be here.
Ready to get your mind blown?
I think mind blown is a guarantee today.
Okay, good.
What's fascinating about water is that it's so common, so essential, yet we're still uncovering its secrets.
Yeah.
And these secrets touch upon fields like quantum physics, biology,
Yeah.
even cosmology.
Wow.
It really makes you question how much we truly understand about the world around us.
It's like we're looking at this everyday substance with fresh eyes.
Right.
I mean, we drink it, we bathe in it.
Right.
But who knew water could be a key to understanding the universe?
It's amazing.
Okay, let's unpack this. You mentioned water's symphony of frequencies.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty poetic, but what does it actually mean?
Well, think of it this way.
Yeah.
Every molecule vibrates.
Right.
And water molecules are no exception. They stretch,
Right.
bend, rotate.
Right.
And each of these movements creates a specific frequency.
Okay.
Now, here's the wild part. Water readily absorbs electromagnetic radiation across a vast spectrum, from tiny gamma rays to long radio waves.
Wow.
And when water absorbs this energy, its molecules vibrate in specific ways,
Right.
creating a unique fingerprint in the electromagnetic spectrum.
So like a signature.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's like each water molecule has its own little song it sings.
Hold on. So you're saying that water is like a sponge for energy.
Yeah.
And depending on the type of energy it absorbs, its molecules will dance to a different tune.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
It's like water is constantly interacting with its environment through this intricate dance of vibrations.
Wow.
And what's even more mind-blowing is that these vibrations aren't just random.
Oh.
They actually carry information.
Okay, now my mind is officially starting to tingle.
I love it.
So we've got these tiny water molecules, each vibrating at its own frequency,
Yeah,
creating a symphony of energy.
right.
But you also mentioned water clusters.
Yeah.
How do those fit into the picture?
Well, water molecules are social creatures.
Oh, interesting.
They love to connect with each other
Okay.
through hydrogen bonds.
Right.
And these bonds can form fleeting structures called clusters.
Clusters.
Yeah, these clusters can have various shapes,
Yeah.
like rings, chains,
Oh, wow.
or even cages, and they can contain anywhere from a few to dozens of water molecules.
So it's like these water molecules are forming temporary gangs,
Kind of.
all holding hands and doing synchronized dance moves.
Yeah, you could say that.
And I'm guessing these clusters also have their own unique vibrational frequencies,
You got it.
adding more layers to water's already complex symphony.
It's like adding harmonies and counterpoint to the music.
Right.
And here's where things get really intriguing. Scientists are still debating how these clusters influence water's properties.
So there's still lots to learn.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so far we've gone from simple H2O
Right?
to a dynamic system of vibrating molecules and complex clusters.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see why water is so much more than meets the eye.
absolutely.
But you also mentioned something about quantum weirdness. Now that's where I really start to lose my footing.
You and me both. Quantum physics is a realm where intuition often breaks down.
Right.
But essentially, when we dive into the quantum world of water, we encounter this concept called coherent domains.
Coherent domains.
Yeah.
It sounds like something out of Star Trek.
It does, doesn't it?
Break it down for me.
Imagine a group of water molecules,
Okay.
all vibrating in sync like a perfectly synchronized swim team.
Wow.
That's essentially what a coherent domain is, a region within water where the molecules are behaving in a more ordered, unified way.
So it's like those flash bombs we were talking about earlier, but on a molecular level.
Exactly.
And what makes these coherent domains so special?
Well, for starters, they're incredibly low entropy,
Okay.
meaning they're highly organized and stable.
Right.
And some scientists believe they might even exhibit quantum phenomena like entanglement, where the fates of particles are linked even at a distance.
Entanglement.
Yeah.
Like those spooky action at a distance things Einstein was skeptical about.
Precisely.
So we're talking about tiny particles in water potentially being connected across space and time.
It's pretty wild.
This is where my brain starts to melt.
It's definitely mind-bending.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really wild.
Oh, no.
Some researchers propose that these coherent domains might be able to store and transmit information.
What?
They could be like tiny hard drives within water, holding on to the energetic imprints of the substances they've encountered.
Wait, are you suggesting that water could have a form of memory?
That's precisely what some scientists are suggesting.
Like it could remember the molecules it's interacted with even after those molecules are gone.
That's the idea.
That's crazy.
And while it might sound like science fiction,
It really does.
there's actually been some intriguing research to support this idea.
Really?
For example, there have been studies showing that highly diluted water solutions can retain the memory of molecules that were previously present,
No way.
even after those molecules have been removed.
Wow. Okay, so we've got vibrating molecules,
Yeah.
complex clusters,
Uh-huh.
coherent domains that might be entangled,
Right.
and now the possibility of water having a memory.
We were just scratching the surface.
My head is spinning. And we're just getting started, right?
It's getting warmed up.
Mm.
But before we dive deeper, let's take a moment to appreciate just how mind-boggling this all is. We're
Right.
talking about water.
Yeah.
This seemingly simple substance, potentially exhibiting quantum phenomena and having a form of memory,
Yeah.
it really challenges our understanding of what's possible in the universe.
It's like we're peering into the matrix
Mhm.
and realizing that water is one of the key codes. I can't wait to see what other secrets this liquid gold holds.
And we're just getting started. Hold on tight, because we're about to explore how water's intricate dance of vibrations might be intimately linked to the very essence of life itself.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the mysteries of water.
I'm ready.
Last time, we were teetering on the edge of quantum physics,
Right.
discussing water's potential for memory.
I know. It's wild.
Ready to plunge back in?
Absolutely. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea that water might hold on to information like some kind of molecular hard drive.
Right.
It's such a radical concept.
It is radical,
Yeah.
and it challenges a lot of conventional thinking.
It really does.
But before we delve deeper into water's more controversial aspect, I think it's helpful to ground ourselves in some of the fundamental properties of water that make these mind-bending possibilities even remotely plausible.
Okay, back to basics.
Back to basics.
But knowing this deep dive, I have a feeling even the basics are going to be pretty amazing.
You're right about that. So as we all know, a water molecule is made up of 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom, H2O.
Right.
The building block of life as we know it.
Right, H2O. It's practically ingrained in our DNA at this point.
It really is.
But you're about to tell me there's more to this seemingly simple molecule than meets the eye.
Absolutely. The magic lies in the way these atoms are bonded together.
Okay.
Oxygen, you see, is a bit of an electron hog.
Electron hog.
It pulls the shared electrons closer to itself,
Okay.
creating an uneven distribution of charge within the molecule.
So it's like a tiny tug of war
Yeah.
with oxygen winning the electron battle.
A perfect analogy.
Wow.
And because of this uneven sharing,
Yeah.
the water molecule ends up with a slightly positive charge on the hydrogen side
Yeah.
and a slightly negative charge on the oxygen side.
Ah, so that's what makes water a polar molecule, right?
Yes,
Like a tiny magnet with a plus and minus pole.
Exactly. And this polarity is what gives water its incredible versatility.
Okay.
It's why water is such a good solvent,
Right.
able to dissolve a wide range of substances,
Wow.
from salts to sugars to proteins.
Right. Water, the universal solvent. I remember that from chemistry class.
Yeah.
But how does this polarity tie into the mind-blowing stuff we were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
like clusters and coherent domains.
That's the beauty of it. It all connects.
Oh, wow.
This polarity is what allows water molecules to form those fleeting hydrogen bonds with each other.
Okay.
The slightly positive hydrogen of one molecule is attracted to the slightly negative oxygen of another,
Oh.
creating a dynamic network of interconnected molecules.
So those hydrogen bonds are like tiny bridges,
Yes.
constantly forming and breaking,
Right.
linking the water molecules together in this intricate dance.
Precisely.
Right.
And even though individual hydrogen bonds are weak,
Yeah.
the sheer number of them creates a powerful force.
Right.
This constant interplay of attraction and repulsion is what gives water its unique properties.
Right.
Like its high surface tension,
Right.
its ability to absorb a lot of heat,
Yeah.
and its remarkable fluidity.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this simple polarity,
Right.
this tiny tug of war over electrons,
Yeah.
creates this incredibly complex and dynamic system.
Exactly.
It's like those chain reaction demonstrations where one tiny movement sets off a cascade of events.
Exactly.
It's wild.
And remember those water clusters we talked about?
Uh-huh.
The hydrogen bonding is what allows those clusters to form, creating even more intricate patterns and structures within the water.
So even more complexity. And those clusters with their unique arrangements of molecules also vibrate at specific frequencies, right?
Precisely.
Adding even more layers to water's already complex electromagnetic symphony.
It's like an orchestra tuning up,
Oh, I like that.
with all the different instruments finding their place in the symphony.
Fair.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Some scientists believe that these clusters and their vibrational patterns might play a key role in how water interacts with living organisms.
Okay, now we're getting back to the really juicy stuff. So how does this all tie into the idea of water as a receiver for subtle energies?
Okay.
We talked about coherent domains and quantum entanglement,
Right.
but I'm still struggling to grasp the implications.
Well, think of it this way.
Okay.
If water molecules are constantly vibrating and interacting with each other through hydrogen bonds,
Yeah.
they're also creating a dynamic electromagnetic field.
So it's not just a passive substance,
Right.
it's actively generating its own electromagnetic environment.
That's right. And this environment can be influenced by external factors, like
Okay.
electromagnetic radiation or even the presence of other molecules.
So it's like water is a sensitive antenna,
Yeah.
picking up signals from its surroundings and adjusting its own electromagnetic field accordingly.
Exactly. And if those signals happen to resonate with the vibrational frequencies of the water molecules,
Right.
or the clusters they form,
That
they can have a profound impact on the water's structure and behavior.
makes sense.
Good.
And this is where the concept of coherence comes in, right?
Yes.
When water molecules start vibrating in sync with each other,
Right.
creating those coherent domains.
Precisely. And those coherent domains,
Yeah.
with their more ordered and structured state,
Uh-huh.
could potentially store and transmit information in ways we're only beginning to understand.
So it's like water isn't just a receiver, but also a recorder and transmitter of information.
Exactly.
This is getting seriously mind-blowing.
It is.
I know.
And it raises even more questions about the role of water in biological systems.
Yeah, like what?
If water is this sensitive and responsive to its environment, how might that influence the delicate processes of life?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Right.
I'm thinking about all those examples we discussed earlier. Protein folding, DNA interactions,
Yes.
even consciousness. It seems like water is intimately involved in every aspect of how life functions.
And not just functions,
What?
but potentially even originates.
Wow.
Some scientists are exploring the idea that life itself might have emerged from the unique properties of water
Okay.
and its ability to create these complex, self-organizing systems.
Wow, that's a truly profound thought.
It is.
We've gone from H2O to the potential origins of life itself. But how do we go from these fascinating theories to concrete evidence?
Right.
Is there any way to actually test these ideas about water's memory and its role in consciousness?
That's the million-dollar question. And while there's still a lot we don't know,
Right.
there are some intriguing avenues of research being explored.
Like what?
For instance, scientists are using techniques like spectroscopy and nuclear magnetic resonance imaging to study the structure and dynamics of water at the molecular level. They're also investigating the effects of electromagnetic fields on water and how this might influence biological processes.
So we're on the cusp of a new era of water research,
I think so.
one that could potentially revolutionize our understanding of life,
Yeah.
consciousness, and maybe even the universe itself?
Absolutely. But before we get too carried away with these tantalizing possibilities,
Okay.
let's explore some of the more controversial ideas about water ideas that have sparked heated debate in the scientific community.
Ooh, I love a good scientific controversy.
All right, but buckle up because things are about to get even wilder.
Okay.
We're going to dive into the world of water memory,
Okay.
homeopathy,
Right.
and the potential for water to act as a medium for consciousness itself.
This is why I love the deep dive. We're going deep down the rabbit hole, folks, and I, for one, am ready to see where it leads. Welcome back to the deep dive. I feel like we've journeyed to the very depths of water's mysteries. From vibrating molecules to the potential origins of life, it's been quite a ride.
And as promised, we're now venturing into the more controversial waters.
Ooh, here we go.
The realms where established science meets speculation, where the lines between fact and possibility blur.
We're talking about water memory,
Yes.
homeopathy,
Right.
and even water's potential role in consciousness, right? These are topics that tend to raise eyebrows in the scientific community.
They do.
Yeah,
These are areas where rigorous scientific evidence is still being gathered.
I see.
And there's plenty of debate about the validity of some claims,
Right.
but I think it's important to explore these ideas with an open mind
Okay.
to see where they lead us.
Okay, I'm all for open-mindedness.
Good.
Let's start with water memory.
Okay.
It's this idea that water can somehow retain an imprint of the substances it's been in contact with,
Right.
even after those substances are physically gone.
Yeah.
It sounds almost like water has a consciousness, holding on to memories of its past.
It's a fascinating concept,
It really is.
and one that has been met with a great deal of skepticism.
Yeah, I can imagine.
The mainstream scientific view is that water molecules are constantly moving and rearranging.
Right.
So any structural changes induced by a substance would quickly dissipate.
Okay.
But some researchers, like Jacques Benveniste and Luc Montagnier,
Okay.
have conducted experiments
Yeah.
suggesting that highly diluted solutions can retain the memory of molecules that were once present.
You mentioned those studies earlier.
Right.
They caused quite a stir in the scientific world, didn't they?
They did.
But if water really can retain information like this, what are the implications?
The implications are potentially huge.
Like what?
It could revolutionize fields like medicine and environmental science.
Really?
Imagine being able to detect trace amounts of pollutants in water long after they've been diluted.
Oh, wow.
Or to develop new diagnostic tools based on the unique energetic signatures of different substances.
It's like water could become a detective, revealing the history of its interactions with the world. But what about the mechanism? How could water possibly hold on to these memories?
That's the million-dollar question. Some theories suggest that the information might be stored in the dynamic hydrogen bond network,
Okay.
in the formation of specific water clusters,
Uh-huh.
or even in those coherent domains we talked about earlier.
So it's like water's intricate dance of vibrations.
Yeah.
It's constantly shifting network of connections.
Right.
Might be encoding and storing information in ways we don't yet fully understand.
That's one possibility. And this brings us to another controversial topic,
Okay, what's that?
homeopathy.
Homeopathy. The practice of using highly diluted substances to treat ailments based on the principle of like cures like. It's often dismissed as pseudoscience, but it also has a devoted following.
It does.
Where does water fit into this picture?
Well, homeopathic remedies are typically prepared by repeatedly diluting and shaking a substance in water.
Okay.
And some proponents believe that this process, called succussion,
Succussion.
creates specific vibrational patterns within the water that can interact with the body's energy systems.
So it's like the water is imprinted with a specific frequency or vibration that corresponds to a particular ailment.
Yes.
And when you ingest the remedy,
Right.
that frequency helps to restore balance in your body.
That's a simplified explanation, but it captures the essence of the concept.
Okay.
Of course, much more research is needed to understand how homeopathy works
Right.
and whether water truly plays a role in transmitting these healing frequencies.
It's certainly a fascinating idea and one that resonates with the idea of water as a sensitive receiver and transmitter of information.
It is.
But we've saved the most mind-boggling concept for last. The potential for water to be involved in consciousness itself.
Some researchers believe that the coherent domains in water, with their ability to store and transmit information,
Yeah.
might play a role in how our brains process information and generate consciousness.
So it's not just about neurons firing in our brains.
Right.
It's about the water within and around those neurons, acting as a medium for consciousness to emerge.
That's the idea. It suggests that consciousness might not be solely confined to the physical structures of the brain,
Wow.
but could involve a field of information that extends beyond the brain,
Okay.
with water playing a key role in this interconnected web.
That's a truly awe-inspiring concept.
It is.
It implies that we're not just isolated individuals, but rather nodes in a vast network of consciousness,
Right.
connected through the very water that flows within and around us.
It's a beautiful and humbling perspective,
It really is.
and one that invites us to reconsider our relationship with water and with the universe as a whole.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, even without getting into the super complex stuff, water already does some pretty weird things in our everyday lives. Like, have you ever noticed how water swirling in a glass feels cooler than still water? It's like some kind of magic trick. Why is that?
Well, it's not magic, though it might feel that way. That's actually a clue that points to some of water's hidden properties. For example, in his book, The Fourth Phase of Water, Gerald Pollack introduces this mind-blowing concept of a fourth phase of water, beyond the familiar solid, liquid, and vapor.
A fourth phase. Okay, now you're really making me curious.
Yeah.
What is this mysterious fourth phase all about?
It's called exclusion zone water,
Okay.
or often shortened to easy water. Now, this isn't some kind of fringe theory. Pollack is a well-respected scientist, and he has done extensive research to back up his findings.
Okay.
What he's discovered is that at interfaces, think of surfaces like the lining of your cells or the edge of a glass, water can form this distinct phase called easy water, and it has some really unique properties.
All right, lay it on me. What makes easy water so special?
For starters, it's more ordered than regular water. Imagine liquid water molecules kind of jumbled up doing their own thing. In easy water, they become more structured, lining up in a more organized way.
Wow.
It also becomes more viscous, kind of like a gel. But here's where it gets really interesting. Easy water actually carries a negative charge.
Hold on. A negative charge?
Mm-hmm.
Like static electricity.
Yeah.
So water can be a little bit electric.
That's exactly right. And that negative charge is actually super important because it means that easy water can store energy, kind of like a tiny battery.
Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit. Water isn't just this passive substance. It's like a miniature energy storage unit. What are the implications of that?
Well, it turns out this idea of water storing energy isn't new. Pollack actually connects his research to the work of Albert Szent-Györgyi, a Nobel laureate who revolutionized our understanding of bioenergetics.
Wow.
Szent-Györgyi was fascinated by how living organisms manage energy, and he proposed that water, specifically the water inside cells, plays a vital role in this process.
So we're not just bags of water. We're like walking, talking batteries powered by water. That is seriously wild.
In a way, yes, and here's where it gets even crazier. The energy stored in easy water is intimately linked to light, especially infrared radiation.
Wait, back up a second. You're telling me that light can actually influence the structure of water?
Absolutely. Pollack's research shows that light, specifically infrared light, can actually build easy water. It provides the energy needed to create those ordered, charged layers we talked about.
Wow.
And this explains why that swirling water feels cooler. The motion increases the water's interaction with light, creating more easy water, which naturally has a lower temperature.
So that cool sensation is like a side effect of water soaking up light energy and transforming itself. I never would have guessed.
It's one of those everyday phenomena that most people don't think twice about, but it reveals something truly profound about water's ability to interact with its environment.
This is incredible. Okay, so we've got water forming this mysterious fourth phase, storing energy like a battery and interacting with light. What other surprises does water have in store for us? I'm on the edge of my seat here.
Well, now that you're starting to see water in a whole new light, let's dive into one of the most controversial and fascinating topics surrounding this seemingly simple substance: water memory.
Ooh, water memory. I've heard about this. The idea that water can somehow retain an imprint of substances it's come into contact with, right? That's where things get a little out there, right?
It definitely pushes the boundaries of conventional science, but there are some researchers who have presented some pretty compelling evidence. One of the most well-known is Masaru Emoto, who wrote Hidden Messages in Water and The Secret Life of Water.
I've seen those photos of Emoto's water crystals, the ones that form different shapes depending on what kind of energy they're exposed to, words, music, even thoughts. They're absolutely stunning, but also kind of hard to believe. How is that even possible?
That's the million-dollar question. Emoto's work, while not universally accepted by the scientific community, does raise some very interesting questions about water's ability to store and transmit information.
Yeah.
He took photos of water crystals that had been exposed to different words, music, and even intentions, and the results are pretty striking. Water exposed to positive messages like love or gratitude tended to form beautiful symmetrical crystals, while water exposed to negative messages like hate or anger formed distorted or incomplete crystals.
I have to admit, those photos are hard to ignore.
Yeah.
But how does that even work? Are we saying water is sentient or something?
That's getting into territory we don't fully understand yet.
Right.
But Emoto's work, along with other research in this area, suggests that water might be far more sensitive and responsive to its environment than we previously thought.
Okay, so we've gone from water being this basic molecule to this dynamic, energy-storing, light-sensitive substance that might even be able to hold information. My brain is officially doing backflips. Where do we even go from here?
Now that we've laid the groundwork, let's explore how all of these incredible properties of water might play a role in one of the most fundamental processes of life, how our cells function.
All right, I'm ready for another layer of mind-blowing. Lead the way.
Before we were talking about how water, this seemingly simple substance, might actually be capable of storing and transmitting information.
Right.
Quite the head-scratcher, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, we're talking about potentially rewriting the textbooks on what we know about water.
Right.
It's a bit overwhelming, but in the best way possible.
Yeah.
So if water is this sensitive to energy and information, what does that mean for us as humans? We're mostly made of water.
That is the question, isn't it? And it's one that Masaru Emoto, the researcher behind those incredible water crystal photographs, explored in detail. He believed that our thoughts, emotions, even our intentions could have a tangible impact on the water around us and, by extension, on ourselves.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Are you saying that if I'm having a bad day, my grumpy mood could be messing with the water in my body? That's a lot of responsibility for my already stressed out cells.
Well, Emoto certainly believed that our inner state could influence water. He wasn't just looking at pretty pictures of crystals either. He went a step further and suggested that water that's been exposed to positive intentions, like through prayer or blessings, tends to form more harmonious and beautiful crystals.
So like my grandma, blessing the food before a meal isn't just a sweet tradition.
Right?
It could be a legit way to energize the water in the food. Mind blown. Again.
It's certainly a possibility worth considering, but let's zoom out a little from our individual water bottles for a second and think about the bigger picture.
Okay.
Our planet is covered in water, oceans, lakes, rivers.
Right.
If our individual thoughts and emotions can affect water on a small scale, could our collective consciousness be influencing these larger bodies of water too?
Whoa, now that's a thought.
It's worth considering. And it brings up an interesting point about the source of our water.
Right.
If water can be influenced by its surroundings, doesn't it stand to reason that the water we put into our bodies matters?
Okay. Yeah, I've definitely jumped on the fancy water bandwagon. Spring water, filtered water, alkaline water. You name it, I've probably tried it.
Right.
But is there really a measurable difference between, say, tap water and water from a pristine mountain spring?
Well, Emoto thought so. He photographed water crystals from all sorts of sources. Tap water, bottled water, spring water, even polluted water. And guess what? The crystal formations were totally different. Spring water consistently formed the most complex and aesthetically pleasing crystals.
Okay, but what does that mean practically speaking? Is pretty water healthier water?
It's not just about aesthetics. Remember, Emoto believed that those crystals were a reflection of the water's energy and structure. Spring water, having been filtered and energized by the earth flowing through rocks and minerals, seems to have a different, more vibrant quality, at least according to his research.
Makes sense to me. Spring water is like nature's energy drink.
Yeah.
But if the source of our water matters, what about how we treat that water once we have it?
Yeah.
Does intention really play a role?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
If you believe Emoto's research, then yes, our thoughts and emotions towards the water we drink could potentially influence its structure.
So, like, should we be having heart-to-heart conversations with our water bottles before we take a sip?
Maybe skip the full-blown conversation, but I think the core idea is sound. Approaching the water we drink with gratitude and mindfulness could, in theory, create a more harmonious, energetic state.
Okay, I'm totally down with that. I mean, even if it's just a placebo effect, who wouldn't want their water to be infused with good vibes? But let's bring it back to the science for a minute.
Right.
We've been talking a lot about the energetic and informational aspects of water.
Yeah.
How does this all connect to our physical bodies?
That's a great question, and it brings us back to that fourth phase of water we talked about earlier, exclusion zone water, or easy water.
Right.
Remember how I mentioned that it forms at interfaces?
Yeah, like the edge of a glass or the lining of our cells.
You're right.
Wait a minute, the lining of our cells. Were you about to tell me that easy water is crucial for how our cells work?
You're catching on quickly. One of the most important interfaces in the human body is the cell membrane.
Okay.
It's the boundary between the inside and outside of the cell, controlling what goes in and out. And according to Pollack's research, easy water plays a key role in that process.
Okay, color me intrigued. How so?
Remember how we talked about easy water having a negative charge? Well, that negative charge helps to create an electrical potential across the cell membrane. And that potential is essential for all sorts of cellular processes like nutrient uptake, waste removal, even nerve signal transmission.
Whoa, so our cells are like tiny electrical circuits powered by water. This is next level stuff.
It's pretty remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it highlights just how interconnected everything is within our bodies.
Right.
Water isn't just a passive substance, it's an active participant in every cellular process.
Okay, but I'm hearing alarm bells in my head. If easy water is so crucial for our cells to function, what happens when we don't have enough of it? Do our cells just short circuit?
That's a great question, and it leads us to another fascinating aspect of easy water. Its relationship with light.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about infrared radiation building easy water? Well, guess what? Our cells emit infrared light.
Hold up. Are you telling me our cells are glowing? That's both awesome and terrifying at the same time.
It's not quite like a light bulb, but it's a real phenomenon. Our cells emit a very faint light called biophotons, and it's a form of infrared radiation.
So our cells are emitting light, and that light is helping to create and maintain the easy water around the cell membrane, which in turn helps the cell function properly. It's like this mind-blowing feedback loop.
Precisely. It's another example of the intricate dance between water, energy, and light that's happening within our bodies at every moment.
This is seriously making me reconsider my whole "I'm just a meat sack" philosophy. So if we need easy water for our cells to work and light helps to create easy water, does that mean we should all be basking in the sun 24/7?
Well, not quite 24/7, but exposure to natural sunlight is definitely a good way to boost easy water production. Remember, sunlight is a rich source of infrared radiation, the same type of energy that Pollack found can create easy water.
So all those sunbathers on the beach might be onto something.
Possibly. Of course, we have to be mindful of sun exposure and avoid sunburn.
Right.
But moderate amounts of sunlight can be incredibly beneficial for our overall health, and that includes increasing easy water in our bodies.
I'm already feeling more energized just thinking about it. What else can we do to help our bodies make more easy water? Besides, becoming professional sunbathers.
Another factor that seems to influence easy water formation is movement.
Good.
Remember how we talked about how vortexed water feels cooler because of increased easy water? Well, the same principle applies to our bodies.
Right.
When we move, our fluids are in motion, which seems to enhance easy water production.
So exercise is good for us, not just because it burns calories and builds muscle, but also because it's literally structuring the water in our bodies. That's awesome.
It is pretty incredible, isn't it? And it doesn't have to be intense exercise either. Even gentle movements like walking, stretching, or yoga can help increase easy water.
This is fascinating. So to optimize our water structure, we need to be moving our bodies and soaking up sunlight. We're basically like plants constantly seeking out light and swaying in the breeze.
That's a beautiful analogy. And it really highlights how interconnected we are with nature and how important those natural rhythms and cycles are for our health.
Deep divers, we've gone from the mystery of the fourth phase of water to the potential for human consciousness to impact the planet's water systems.
Right.
And now we're learning how to optimize our own water structure for better health. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling incredibly inspired to go outside, soak up some sun, and move my body. What about you?
That sounds like an excellent plan.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the importance of gratitude and positive intentions. If Emoto's research is right, our thoughts and emotions have a direct impact on the water around us. So let's choose to infuse our water with love and appreciation.
Couldn't agree more. Let's make those water crystals sing. Kind of switching gears a little bit here, I remember reading about the movement of water and how that's also super important. There was this guy, Viktor Schauberger, and he was like obsessed with how water flows in nature.
Yes. Schauberger, the Austrian forester and natural scientist. He was a brilliant, if a bit eccentric observer of nature, and he was like totally convinced that the way we, move water, especially in rivers and streams, has a huge impact on its quality and vitality.
Okay, so not all water movement is like created equal. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, Schauberger was fascinated by that swirling, spiraling motion of water in natural streams and rivers. He believed that this natural flow was like crucial for maintaining water's health and energy. He even went so far as to say that our conventional methods of channeling and straightening rivers, the stuff we do for flood control or irrigation. He thought it actually harmed the water.
So like we're putting water in a straitjacket, forcing it to flow in a way that's unnatural.
Exactly. He argued that these unnatural flows disrupted the water's energy, making it, less vibrant, less alive.
So what did he propose instead? What was his alternative?
Schauberger was a huge advocate for biomimicry, taking inspiration from nature to design better systems. He actually designed and built these special pipes and turbines that mimic the spiraling flows found in nature.
Whoa, so like giving water a spa treatment, indulging its inner vortex.
You could say that. He believed that, restoring water's natural rhythm and flow would actually enhance its ability to, self-purify, to retain its energy, and to better support the life around it.
That's amazing. It really makes you realize how much we take water for granted. We treat it like this passive substance when it clearly has its own dynamics and preferences.
Absolutely. And Schauberger's work really reminds us that, understanding water means understanding its relationship with its environment, its energy, its flow.
So next time I see a river, I'm not just going to see, water flowing downhill. I'm going to see a complex dance of energy and information, a symphony of swirling vortices and hidden currents.
That's the spirit. You're starting to see the world through water's eyes.
This is all so mind-boggling. It's like we've gone from thinking of water as this simple everyday substance to realizing it's this vast, interconnected, mysterious force of nature. I can't wait to see what other depths we uncover. Welcome back, deep divers. We've been on quite a journey through the strange world of water.
From that hidden fourth phase to the possibility of like water memory. And we even explored how water, likes to move.
Yeah, it's like I've gone through water wizardry boot camp or something.
I like that.
But before we come up for air, so to speak, let's take a minute to gather all the mind-blowing stuff we've learned.
A treasure chest of watery wisdom. I'm in.
Okay, so like that whole exclusion zone thing, the easy water, man, that really turned my world upside down. Who knew that water near, certain surfaces could become this structured, pure zone, like a tiny water sanctuary?
It's pretty remarkable, right? And it just like opens up so many possibilities. Easy water could be the key to understanding how cells work, how energy moves through, living systems, and maybe even how like water could hold on to information, like in homeopathy.
Right. The memory of water. We talked about Masaru Emoto and those beautiful water crystals. It's still, up for debate, but it definitely makes you think, like, what if by just changing our thoughts or intentions, we could like actually change the structure of water? It's pretty wild.
It really is. It makes you wonder about all those like connections between our inner world and the world around us, and how much we still, don't know about the nature of reality.
My mind is officially blown. And then there was Viktor Schauberger and his obsession with how water, naturally flows makes you like think twice about how we treat water.
Yeah, he was a real visionary. Schauberger understood that water wasn't just, a passive thing we could like control. It has its own, intelligence, its own rhythm.
It's like we've been trying to make water fit into our, human boxes, straightening its curves and ignoring what it's, trying to tell us.
Maybe it's time we like started listening a little more closely to what water is trying to teach us.
I love that.
Yeah.
So like the next time I pour a glass of water, I'm not just going to see, clear liquid. I'm going to see like a mini universe, a swirling vortex of energy and information.
That's the spirit. You're seeing the magic in the mundane.
This whole deep dive has really shown to me that water is so much more than just, H2O. It's like a force of nature, a mystery we're still trying to figure out.
And the journey of discovery doesn't end here, right?
Definitely not. There's so much more to explore, so many more secrets to uncover about water.
And we can't wait to, dive back in with you all on future episodes. But until then.
Don't forget to, like and subscribe to The Deep Dive. We love taking you on these mind-expanding adventures, and, keep those questions coming. We love hearing from you all.
Absolutely. Keep that curiosity flowing.
And never, ever underestimate the power of, a simple drop of water.
Cheers to that.
All right, deep divers, until next time, stay hydrated, stay curious, and keep exploring.